So with delta right here, it says, when would it be the most useful to use a fraction to find the answer to a division problem instead of using long division? So with this guy right here, I think the easiest way to go about looking at it is that I'm going to write a couple of fractions right here on my little index card. And we're going to see which one of those you would rather find the decimal equivalent to using a long division or using another or leaving it as a fraction. So if I have 1/4 over here and I have 3/8 over here. So with those two, which one would you rather use or would need to use long division to be able to figure it out if you didn't have a calculator? So hopefully you said it would be 3/8 because 1/4 is 0 and 25 hundredths. It looks like a quarter in money for the same reason. Now I can use long division with the 1/4. I can have my divisor on the outside, my dividend on the inside, and I can go ahead and do the long division for it. I have 0 here and 2. 2 times 4 is 8. I'm going to subtract. I get 2. I'm going to bring down my next placeholder. And I have 5 4s in 20. 5 times 4 is 20. So again, I can do that, but I probably don't need to do that. I should have this part right here memorized. I should. We've been dealing with these two together for 3-4 years. That one I would expect for you to have memorized. Now over here are 3/8. That might be a different story. So again, I would have my 8 as my divisor, my 3 is my dividend. So I ask myself, what times 8 gives me is close to but not over 30? And that would be 3. Subtract 24 because 8 times 3 is 24. I have 6. I'm going to bring down my next place value. And I have 7. 7 times 8 is 56. I have 4. Bring down the next place value. And I have 5. 5 times 8 is 40. And I don't have a remainder. And so I have my, oops, can't forget my decimal. I have my place value here, but most likely you shouldn't know what 3/8 is as a decimal off the top of your head. And so that's really what it's asking you is when would you choose to use a fraction to know the decimal equivalent as opposed to doing the long division to find that decimal equivalent? Let's throw 0 up there. It's not necessary, but we can make it look more like that feller over here. 0 and 375 thousandths. So what we're going to do is we're going to answer over here. I would use a fraction as an answer instead of long division when fraction and decimal, right? Because it's its decimal equivalent. Make sure I'm still on the board. Are familiar. Technically, they're called benchmark fractions, but I want to make sure that when you go back and you look at this, if you are questioning it, that you would understand what I mean by that. So you would use a fraction as an answer instead of using long division when that fraction and decimal are familiar, like 1/4 or 1/2. That was the next one in my head and it popped out there. 3/4 was another one that kids talked about. 2/10 would be another one. 1/3, although sometimes that one is a little bit of hit and miss. But all of those, typically, most students would have memorized as to what their decimal equivalents are.